This is about that fix that I thought was going to save me. Okay, I had a life at one point that felt like shit. My energy was absolute shit. I was depressed. I was flat and disconnected from myself. So I went looking for a fix. One of those first fixes that I went and I sought out at my age was TRT. But that was not the fix. That didn't work. Then I thought diet. That didn't work. My overall goal was happiness. And I was just in this wrong system. And I'm going to share with you kind of the mistakes that I made and what to look out for yourself if you're looking for happiness in your life as well. Coming up on the Spencer Mark podcast. Hello. It's been a while since I've been here with you. I'm here in my office in Cape Town. Adela and I had made the move from Boise, Idaho here to Cape Town, selling off everything that we owned. We live in a couple suitcases. We live just right down the road. We're here in a place called Komiki here in Cape Town. And I'm excited to be here again and to continue on this journey here with you, and just being upfront and honest with you about my journey towards health and what's towards happiness, and really working on a state of wholeness for myself. And I know that's why you're here too. And I want to thank you for being here. My backdrop is very plain. Maybe I could work on that, but I put on a nice shirt for you guys. So hopefully that helps. So these fixes, as men, we're taught to go for the fix. If something's wrong, fix that shit, all right? And that could be very good. But I'm going to talk about the quick fixes I thought were going to take care of things, but actually ended up not being the case. And I talked about just like a lightning rod topic with TRT. And I'm going to get right into it of what it actually did for me. Now I'm 49 years old. I'll be 50 in a few months. And just to put it out there, when I had everything checked, I had my results are very low. I suffered a lot of head trauma as a kid and as a young adult. Playing football, that has an effect on it. So I thought, hey, maybe this is it. If I can get my numbers in the right spot, maybe I'll start feeling a little bit better. And honestly, when I started, things started to improve. Like the number one thing that I think it improved for me was the depressive states. I didn't get these suicidal ideations as much. I didn't get as low. I have a propensity for being extremely depressed. There was that time in my life where I was going through a lot of things, going through divorce, going through losing children. I was going through multiple different diseases inside of my body, and it was just like everything was a mess. I was extremely stressed out. My health was in bad order. So I sounded the alarms and thought I would check this out, and understanding that it's kind of a lifelong thing. And so the depressive states, they did help lift a little bit. That felt really nice. The motivation to train was there because I didn't feel like shit, and I really enjoy training anyway. So I could lift weights. I could some fat came off. I gained a little bit of muscle, and honestly, where I'm at today is exactly where I was when I was in my 20s. And so this really is a replacement therapy for me. Everything has been checked, and I'm in a good spot. And I'm not here to make TRT the villain or the savior. That's really not it. But the thing is that after a while, I started still putting on weight, because I didn't have my diet right. And it wasn't just the diet. So I fixed the diet. I started eating more metabolically healthy too. And my blood glucose got better because I wasn't eating as much glucose. I wasn't overdoing it there. So I got metabolically healthy. But then after a while, I thought that fix was going to work. But over time, like the wheels start coming off because I wasn't thinking in advance of what this next thing is going to lead to and what this thing is going to lead to and lead to and lead to. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more. But the thing is with the testosterone replacement therapy, it's if you need to be on it, be on it. If you don't want to be on it, don't be on it. And I applaud those that aren't on that if that's the case. But the thing is too, there's a healthy way of doing it, and that's what I wanted to express to you. I don't have any shame in it, and if you have anyone has questions about that, that's the case. Um, bring them up to me. But the thing was, I want everyone to know here is that it didn't make me happy, and that was the overall goal of why I got into health and well-being. It's not just health. It's being in a state to where I can be happier. I can be more kind. I can create greater relationships. I can be happy with my life. So if I'm on my deathbed, I'm not necessarily saying, oh man, I grinded harder. Man, I wish I was benching 300 pounds. I wish I had that six-pack abs. That's not what I imagine saying. I imagine saying things, I wish I could have been more kind. I wish I would have slowed down a little bit more and paid attention to the beauty inside of my life, spent more time with my kids. And those are the things I'm really going through right now. So I want you to know that it wasn't the main thing why I started that therapy. But it is important to note that, yeah, my health markers did improve, but only for a little while. Only for a little while. There are people that take this therapy that you don't even realize that they're on it because their diet's not right, their sleep, their stress, they're metabolically unhealthy still. So it's not a Band-Aid for sure. You still got to put in the work, and you can do it in a healthy way. So that's important to talk about. And it helped, but it didn't fix me. So why? Why didn't these fixes fix me? Because the biggest thing here, even when I was on the testosterone replacement therapy and I'm still on it, I can still gain fat because I hadn't changed my food. Okay, so it wasn't just the one thing. So with the therapy, you need to have the food. That's part of the system. So those two work in tandem. Okay, and then if that's doing really well, then guess what's going to have to go into play next? Your sleep. And then what's next after that? Your stress relief. So meditation's really good. Going for walks, exercising your body. Those are things we're going to have to do anyway, right? Going to have to do it. Whether you're on it or not, So I was on a vegan diet for 14 years. I had become insulin resistant because I was eating so much starch, so much sugar. My blood sugar was a mess. So I switched things up and I went back to animal-based, more ketogenic. I'm back on keto a little bit now. Through the holiday season, I had a few too many slices of cheesecake. I mean, the pastries here are amazing. Pastiche de nata, I think that's what it's called, like these custard tarts. Croissants. I have this need for pastry, right? So I was trying that out. But here in South Africa, it supports more of that ketogenic lifestyle. Like you can get biltong anywhere here. Biltong is a type of jerky that's made from beef, kudu, which is a type of venison, even ostrich. You can get it from chicken. The high protein, a lot of nuts available. Nuts everywhere you go. You get your sack of nuts, nut sack, and it really helps with the old insulin. But this isn't about that. Those were things I think were going to help. So that was one. That was helping. I was starting to build a system, but even those two fixes didn't help me feel better all the time. And it wasn't even about feeling better all the time. It's just there was still something more that I was missing. There was like kind of that hollow feeling. Have you ever gotten that? Have you ever felt that way before, to where you attain something? Say it was a six-pack abs. It was for me. And then you could still feel like shit. You can still say the wrong thing to your spouse and feel like a complete dog in a bad way. You can still fuck up and make mistakes. And I still was not resourced to feel into those types of mistakes. So I'm going to go into what that meant. And the pattern that I kept repeating over and over. So Well, this is what systems really reveal. And whether you know it or not, you're involved in a system for getting up in the morning, going to work, doing the things you need to do to be comfortable. Um, and if we're not really aware of this system, that's when we start to, you start to really soak up kind of the repercussions of these bad habits. Like say you go to work with no sort of plan to come home after work or do anything. So you sit on the couch, and this was me. You let Netflix dictate what you're going to watch. You're going to, before you know it, the time has gone down. So you just eat something really fast, then you eat a lot of it. And then you stay up late because you're like, oh, alone time. And you end up going to bed late, and then you wake up late, and you got to get to work and rush to work on time. You didn't pack a lunch, So there's these patterns that lead into one thing, into another thing, into another thing. So it's not just one thing that you need to fix. It's an entire system. You're right. So those are the things that I work on with guys here too, is we take a look at what the system looks like holistically and then change the things that we needed to change. So in my life, the thing that kept happening, that I kept thinking was going to happen, this pattern I kept repeating, is that when there was an issue, I would then fix it with like a hack, or like I talked about TRT, that helped for a little bit, but then it wasn't helping. So then I changed my diet. That's got to be it. It helped for a little bit until it started to not work again. And then because it wasn't making me overall happy. So I worked on the relationship with myself. And I wasn't really taking an approach where I was considering every possible variable. I needed to take a look at the entirety of everything. You almost like need to make a flow chart of doing one thing while it leads into another, into another, into another. So each individual thing would help for a little while, but we need to consider the whole, whole being a type of approach here. So the things I would fix, they would work for a little while, but then after a little while, I would feel low, disconnected. I would get restless, anxious, down on myself, and feeling empty. And then it had me questioning everything, right? And I don't know about you, but when I start questioning myself and everything that I do, that's super tiring. That's super stressful, right? So the thing was that hit me is I wasn't really dealing with one problem. I was really living in a system of my own making, of just trying to survive and trying to get into comfort. I wasn't aware of the grander picture. So the thing is too that I really wanted to acknowledge, I wrote some notes here, is this, that I would compensate when the fix didn't work. So if the diet's not working, I would diet harder, or I would exercise more if I was to lose weight, taking more supplements, finding a new hack, spending time on podcasts, trying this, trying that. And the thing is like it's like building up a tolerance to a certain drug. And where I did this in football for years, where I would take a lot of ibuprofen because I was living in a lot of pain, especially in college football. I was on 2 ibuprofen, then that pretty much didn't work. So then I needed to take 3, then 4, then 5. Then pretty soon I was chugging like 8 to 10 ibuprofens before practices, right? When I should have been going and getting better treatment. I should have been rehabbing them better instead of relying on that one fix for pain, right? So it's kind of that same realm. So the more we lean on these fixes, the more, when it doesn't really work, the more we kind of double down on that fix. You know what I'm saying? So if, say you're on a dose of TRT, you might want to double it. And that's where you could see people really taking advantage of that and really trying to, and it really becomes something else. You got to stay super strict with that, and just a little bit, right? So that's something that I really needed to lean into, and I needed to build more momentum in these other things, because I didn't want to overcompensate on the fix, on the hacks, right? So that was my big realization. So in doing my happiness studies too, it's even happiness really wasn't the fix. And I need you to hear me out here on this. A lot of times we think if we're successful, if I achieve this certain level, right? If I get the abs, if I get the girl, if I get the job, if I get to 10K a month, whatever that is for you, then I'll be happy, right? When really it's the inverse is true. It's when we can really work on that happiness piece that you can start to realize something like success. All right. So how do you chase happiness? Right. So is this about getting happy all the time? So let me just hurry up and get happy, then I'll be successful. And again, that's where I kind of screwed up too, thinking about, this is what it is. Not the case. So happiness really wasn't a mood, and it was not something that you really earned. Come to find out, I did find out in my studies is that those that tend to value happiness the most are the most depressed, are the most isolated, most lonely, lowest scores of well-being that there is. And you might be asking why? Like, why? If you're valuing happiness, why aren't you happy? If you study happiness, why aren't you happy? Okay, so number one, and this has been studied in the peer-reviewed studies here, and I'll leave this in the description here too, because number one is because those that value it so much are constantly measuring it and monitoring it. How many times have you monitored something and it like if somebody's watching you do a job and you maybe say you're painting, you're doing something creative, and someone's watching over your shoulder saying, hey, let's see how's it going. Does that feel good? No, it doesn't. So when we're constantly monitoring, hey, am I happy yet? You have a joyful experience, and he's like, oh, the sunset's great. Am I happy? Let me write this down on a scale of 1 to 10, and like where am I at? And if you don't feel like that you're happy enough, you might consider yourself a failure. So that's the issue, is that we're constantly monitoring, you're constantly seeing, am I happy yet? Right? And that drains the joy and the discovery from each and every moment. And we don't want to be a joy kill. Number two is that the standards are so high for you to be happy all the time. Now, the thing is that people, when they think that, they tend to force themselves to be happy. And forcing something, especially in the realm of happiness, only leads to greater discontent. It backfires. It's not realistic to be happy all the time, too, because that's too easy to become disappointed. We can't be happy all the time, and we need to allow space for unhappiness, because only when we're unhappy can we really truly appreciate happiness. So it's that as above so below type situation, to where the one feeds off the other. It's the yin and yang of everything. So we really need to embrace that time where we're really unhappy, so we can notice the times where you're feeling that joy, you're feeling happy, and then you can be aware enough to give yourself that. A third thing here too is that why this, if you're valuing happiness, you can end up more depressed and with greater loneliness. The third reason here is that you're engaging in specific actions to attain the thing. So people generally don't know, and this is me for a lot of time, what makes them happy. Think about that. Do you ever feel that way? Do you know what makes you happy? For sure. But we know you want to be happy, but we're not really sure what will make us happy. So that's when we get into the hacks and we get onto podcasts, and maybe this will work, and maybe the low diet approach will work. And what if I cold plunge, and that'll work for me? Ooh, how about if I tan my perineum? That'll make me happy. I'll be super healthy there. And you end up just getting a bird butthole. So just you fall into hacks a little too easy. If you don't know what'll make you happy, so sit down, journal. This is the things that I tried to do. And I'm going to talk about what helped. We're going to talk about happiness as being wholeness. And when you understand we can work on our whole being, we work on our spirit, we work on our physical health and well-being, our intellect, what we're learning, and how we're growing in that respect, work on our relationships, we work on our emotions. When we can work on all of those things together, that's when we can start to realize happiness. So number one, the things that really helps with everything is removing the standards. Just take them out. The expectations go away with that too. It erases discontent, it erases disappointment, and it'll allow those times for you to be unhappy. It's important to be unhappy. And And when this happens, I just feel lighter because I'm allowing that space to be unhappy. So if your spouse is saying, hey, I don't like how grumpy you're being, you can let them know, babe, this is just a moment where I'm unhappy right now. And I'm going to adjust. If you can allow me to be a little bit grumpy right now, you're going to see a big time 180 here. So just know the good times are coming. Life won't be a hell. Whatever you got to say. But letting even let your spouse know, your partner know, whoever you're living with here too, is like, I'm not going to be happy all the time. I'm going to be grumpy. There'll be times where I'm grumpy, but there's going to be times where I'm filled with joy. That's realistic, man. And that's realistic. So let go of those standards. And again, it's important to know that we are allowed to be angry. We need to feel anger, and we need to feel other emotions too, because feeling anger gets us out of trouble. It gets us, it's protective. It's important to feel those things at times too. You can't be happy all the time if somebody's robbing you, if somebody's attacking you. We need to use anger. We need to use force sometimes. So it's important to remember that. We need to confront these situations that happen to us in life. We need room for other things besides only happiness. Okay. So another thing here too, number 2, is look for sustainable and natural means of realizing this. Okay. Sustainable and natural means of realizing this. So what helps me understand like the happiness that's sustainable is when I notice beauty. I notice beauty in nature, the surrounding mountains. I live in a place where there's mountains and ocean. My beautiful wife, and how she studies, how she reads, how she interacts with me, just her whole being, the people in my family, how I appreciate them. Just whatever you can just pause for a moment. There's beauty surrounding you each and every moment, even on this plain old wall behind me. There's beauty in the simplicity of that, right? So pause, notice what's beautiful. That's what worked for me. What works for you, right? So journal on that, just helping stay aware. Helps me feel into gratitude. And the third thing here too, again, just avoid monitoring your emotional state. Your emotions are your emotions. Notice them, become aware of them, but you don't have to be monitoring them and getting pissed at yourself if you're not happy, if you're not perfect. And I've done that. Guilty, man. I'm guilty. So I talked about wholeness. So we're going to talk about why that really means, what it matters. Slow down here. When we talk about wholeness, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about this whole being approach. So it's not just your physical health. We already talked about that at the top, like having 6-pack abs or benching 300 pounds or seeing your veins and having low body fat is not going to lead to your entire life being good. It's just one piece. It's not the entire fix. We're talking about having an idea what your purpose is. That's important. What is your meaning? What are you here to do? Understanding that, you understand your spiritual well-being, your physical well-being. So again, exercising, eating clean, eating for your metabolism. I lean into yoga. Get that? Lean into yoga. Weight training. Those are those things that I do for my physical fitness, which means now I have to get good sleep. I can't be staying up late. When I get good sleep, then I have better energy. It keeps my stress low. And when my exercise is good, my food is good, and you felt this before, when your sleep is good, stress tends to drop. Our tension releases. And when the tension releases, our blood sugar actually comes down as well. We live longer with less stress felt in our bodies and in our minds. And stress is tension. We men hold on to a lot of that shit. We need to let go of that. So that's your physical well-being. Then we get into our intellect and the importance of learning new things, reading, investigating, getting in adventures, studying, researching. We are lifelong learners. Who here loves to learn? If you don't, then I don't think you're alive. I think you're at the wrong spot, my brother. We all want to learn things, and we need to really lean into intentionally reading, intentionally studying, learning new stuff, even if it's on the Discovery Channel. It's just staying mentally alive and alert. And that's what I'm talking about, intellectual well-being, right? And not to mention, when you're working on your intellectual well-being, this makes you much more intellectual and approachable at parties. Or here in South Africa, braais. Braais are outdoor cookouts. They're fantastic. I'll talk about braais at another time. And then relationships. The relationship with other people, with your spouse, with your friends, with your neighbors. Are you giving more than just always just expecting to receive? How's the relationship with yourself? Right? How do you love yourself? And this was a big thing for me, man. This could be a whole other podcast series on loving yourself. But liking what you see in the mirror and loving what you see in the mirror might be two different things. But it's a constant, you're working with it. You know, sometimes I've fallen in and out of love with myself, but I know I have to be able to love myself in order to be emotionally well. And that's what this next piece is the emotional well-being. Understanding that emotions are part of being human, and we're not friggin' robots, right? We're going to feel sad. We're going to feel jealous. We're going to feel anxious and worried and joyful and curious. And all of these different emotions are going to arise. Just understand that it's part of being human. And we need to stop the rejection of painful emotions, giving yourself permission to feel, right? So that's your emotional well-being too. There's a whole section of learning on just your emotional well-being. So when we consider all of those things, right, we're in a spot where happiness begins to just naturally be the byproduct, not the goal, right? The goal is to work on the whole approach, where the byproduct, the side effect of working on that is a realization. Shit, man, I'm pretty happy, right? So that's the whole thing. Chew on that. So the more I play in this sense of wholeness, the more I begin to pick up on the pains as well. I notice when things are off in my body, in my mind, with my relationship, a lot of things, like any shortcomings. And then when that happens, I have that awareness to then adjust. Paying attention to myself begins to be the norm, but not in a way to where I'm monitoring myself, but in a way to I'm just more aware. Like, even I'm going to do an episode 2 on my posture. My posture, I is naturally like this. And you see that? Ugh, it's horrible. I need to be sitting up. I can do this. I want to sit up. I want to be able to feel as if I'm a leader. I want to feel as if that, I'm happy, that I'm strong. This was years of protecting myself. This is what I need to be aware of. And this is because this is when I take a picture, I don't want to be like this anymore. I want to be sitting normal, So I'm going to talk about that at a spot here too. Is this working on posture? It's a big thing. So that's just involving myself in deeper awareness. So all this stuff is to say is that it shows me how I'm thinking, how I'm acting from those thoughts, how I'm living, what needs attention. Okay. So this new system that I'm living inside now is, look, when I started living whole, this whole person approach, living in a place that we really want to live in, doing the things that we wanted to do. When I say we, my spouse and I, when I started living this way, things started to change, and things are consistently changing here too. When I look at the whole being approach, it wasn't just one fix. This, where I live now, is part of a lifestyle of wellness and whole being. Happiness really stopped being the goal, and wholeness really is the goal for me. And I break that down into daily practices. And the more that I'm doing this, the more I feel happy. Like right now, speaking to this computer screen, knowing that it's going to go out to 40 or 50 guys, right? I have clear expectations. I'm realistic. That still makes me happy. I'm here doing something that I really enjoy doing. And it's not necessarily about like getting a shitload of views or anything like that right now. It's just, I know that I'm doing the work. I know that I'm creating, studying, sharing, teaching. These are the things that truly help me feel fulfilled. Right. And I'm going to continue doing that because I feel good right now. I feel happy right now in just talking to you and connecting with you. Thank you for being here. So when I say that shit, I really mean it. Thank you. So I'm not going to say that I'm done chasing fixes. Because I'm still a man. I'm still going to look. If something's fucked up, I'm going to try to fix it, right? But I got to understand that that's not the cure. I got to see, look, if there's something screwed up within this, out of whack in my life, I got to take a look at the entire system. What's this one thing that I'm trying to do? How is that leading to another thing and to another thing, to another thing? All right. So that's really what I want to do. So what I really, nothing changes until the system changes too. I just want to end here on this. I want you to know that TRT is not the villain or the savior. The diet's not the villain or the savior. The relationship with myself was not a villain thing, or not just the savior as well too. It's a combination of these things. Is you really got to take a look at the entirety of the system. So thinking of just one thing that was going to save me was a problem. So we need to take a look at your entirety of this system. What system are you living inside? This really isn't always about optimization. This is about wholeness. Okay. So when the whole person is addressed, happiness then follows. Okay. Set up a call with me. If any of this resonated, we want to take a look at your system and work that in a way that's applicable to you, to where you're feeling a sense of whole being, then just click the link in my description and you just set up a free call, and you and I will have a private discovery session to where we're just going to talk about where you're at. What is it that you're wanting to move towards? And you and I were going to get there. So I want to thank you very much for being here. Looking forward to the next time where we're together, and we'll be discussing more tips, more ideas, and more thoughts on happiness and wholeness.